welcome back for another video. Today we're going to work on a little bit of faux tearing to create a fun, interesting piece on a one-layer card. We're going to use several shades of Distress ink as well as the Butterfly Birthday Set by Happy Little Stampers. I'm just going to go ahead and tear this, and I'm right-handed, so I'm tearing towards me. You can also tear away from you if you want. It doesn't matter really. If you're left-handed, you're just going to do the reverse, but because the sticky side is here, you're going to probably need to turn your paper and tear down that way. So just create an interesting little look. I don't want to get too much of the sticky gone, so I'm leaving a little bit here. I'm just going to lay this across my piece. And then I'm going to do the same with the second piece. So you can see I have about a third on the bottom here. I'm going to probably bring this a little lower, leaving this part a little bit bigger. And it's okay if it's not straight. It's a faux torn edge, so it doesn't really matter. But I have a bigger piece of white there than I do on the bottom here. And then this is the part that we're going to actually add some color to. So I'm going to open my card up. I want to make sure that my piece doesn't really go anywhere. So I'm just going to take some masking tape that I have and just make sure to secure this down really well. And I'm going to use the Butterfly Birthday Set, and we're going to use a couple of different butterflies here. But first we need to add some color to our background. So I'm going to create a blended distress look here. So I really want a bright and vibrant background, so I'm going to use some mustard seed. I'm going to kind of create the yellow here a little in the middle. We're going to add some shades of, or kind of like the abandoned coral, which is kind of like a reddish coral, and some of the spice marmalade as well. We can get that more vibrant later on. Add a little bit of the abandoned coral. And I wanted to leave some white areas just so this color can really shine on its own. It's a very pretty coral color. Let's kind of blend that in with the yellow. And then we'll add a little bit of the spice marmalade as well. It's probably my favorite orange in the Distress family. Let's have that go all the way across to the coral. More concentration right there on the right side. Bring in a little more coral. I'll have this kind of go across a little. And then we'll come back in with the mustard seed to brighten it all up. Now I made sure to concentrate and leave one little spot that was yellow just to have it kind of be nice and bright. And each little corner has its own. This is the spice marmalade, the abandoned coral, and a little bit of the mustard seed. And then we have some blends all over the place, which is perfect. So now that we have that, we're going to go ahead and do a little stamping. And I wanted to pick a color that was going to be very complementary. So I'm taking the Wild Honey. It's kind of like a yellowish orange, so I think this will work with everything that we have. And it'll be a nice complement to the background. And I'm just going to stamp a few of these butterflies coming from the faux torn edge out, and they're going to come upward. I'm just using the two. I'm just going to kind of alter where they're going. And then we'll add this one again in the corner here. Just a couple of the wings. And that just is a nice subtle background. I want to add a couple of quick flicks. Now I'm going to take some of the Festive Berries here and put down quite a bit of that ink. Take a spritzer and get that wet, but not too wet. Just take a paintbrush, get that loaded up, And we're just going to kind of flick some color here. Now what this is it's kind of a colored water. So we're going to remove that pretty quickly because I don't want it to stay on the paper too long, because remember this isn't really watercolor paper. You could do the same thing with just water. I just chose to have it have a very light kind of reddish hue at the same time. And then I want to dry that really quick, so I'm going to zap it with a heat tool and do that from both sides. In addition to that, I'm going to use a spritzer, an ink spritzer, and this is the Distress Marker Ground Espresso. You're going to want the brush side whenever you do this, and you're going to want to make sure that your plastic meets plastic there, and that's the perfect spot for it. Tighten that down, and then you're going to give it some, hold this nice and perpendicular, and you're going to give it some firm pressure right here, and that's going to spritz out some of that ink directly. So we have kind of this watered, and you don't want to touch that because that's going to take a minute to dry, but you have kind of like this watered flecked pattern with a little bit of a red hue in the background and then some of the brown on top, and that's some nice different texture. Now when you're peeling back your masks, that's where you have your faux torn edge, and look at how pretty that is. It's just very unique and interesting, and it has that kind of torn feel to it. I love it. Now to complete our card, I have some ground espresso and the Greeting My Friend from the same stamp set. It's a great stamp set because it has greetings and images, and I love that. I love versatility. I'm just going to pop this in the lower right hand corner here. Give that a second to just transfer. I'm going to zap it with the heat tool because I use Distress ink. I just want to make sure that it doesn't expand at all. And there you go. A real quick one layer card. We have some interesting texture that we created. We used a little bit of water. We also have some nice flecking in there, and it's a very simple card. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you learned a little something, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.